The great space station called Nexus Prime floated in the dark between stars. It was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. Ships from all over the galaxy came here to trade and talk. The station had many levels, each one as big as a small town. Lee. Taman walked through the main hall. He wore his best diplomatic uniform, dark blue with gold stripes that showed he spoke for Earth. The hall was full of aliens. Some were tall and thin like walking sticks. Others were short and round like balls. A few had 4 arms or 6 legs. But they all had one thing in common. They looked down on humans. Taemin was 35 years old. He had been a soldier before, becoming a diplomat. His black hair was cut short and neat. His face was calm, but his dark eyes missed nothing. He had learned long ago to hide his feelings when dealing with aliens. Today was important. The Galactic Council was meeting to discuss trade deals. Earth was still new to the Council. Humans had only joined 3 years ago. Many alien species still thought humans did not belong here. Taemin, wait up. Dr. Park Hae-jin caught up with him. She was a scientist who studied alien life forms. Her long black hair was tied back in a simple knot. She carried a data pad filled with notes about today's meeting. Are you ready for this? She asked in Korean. As ready as I can be, Taemin replied. They switched back to Galactic Standard, the common language used by all species. Captain Ko Jae-sung joined them at the entrance to the meeting hall. He was head of security for the human group. His job was to keep everyone safe, but on this station, his weapons were not allowed. Only words could fight here. The meeting hall was enormous. A round table sat in the center big enough for 50 beings. Each species had their own section. The humans sat in a small area marked with Earth's blue and green flag. Ambassador Kree entered the hall like a storm. He was a Veltorian, one of the warrior race that ruled a large part of the galaxy. Crick stood 8 feet tall. His body was covered in natural armor that looked like thick, dark shells. He had 4 arms, each one strong enough to crush steel. His face was sharp and mean, with yellow eyes that seemed to burn. The Veltorians had been in space for thousands of years. They had conquered many worlds through strength and fear. Other species respected them because they were afraid of them. Crix looked at the human section and made a sound like a laugh, but meaner. The meeting began with boring talk about trade routes and shipping costs. Taemin spoke when it was Earth's turn. He talked about human manufacturing and the new technologies Earth could offer. When he finished, Crix stood up. His forearms moved as he talked, making him look even bigger and more scary. I have listened to the humans speak, Crix said. His voice was deep and rough. But I must ask a question. Why are we wasting time with this weak species? The hall became quiet. All the aliens turned to look at Crix, then at Taemin. The humans claim they deserve a place at this table. Crix continued. But what have they done to earn it? They have been in space for less than 100 years. My people have ruled the stars for millennia. Taemin felt his heart beat faster, but he kept his face calm. Ambassador Crix, humans may be new to space, but we have much to offer. Our technology, our ideas, our willingness to work with others, ideas. Crix laughed, a harsh sound. Technology. These are the tools of the weak. Real strength comes from here. He hit his chest with one of his 4 hands. And here, he pointed to his head. Humans have neither. Dr. Park touched Taemin's arm, a warning to stay calm. Captain Ko shifted in his seat, his hand moving toward where his weapon would be if he had one. My people have studied humans, Crix went on. You are soft, weak. You have thin skin that tears easily, small teeth that cannot bite through armor, only 2 arms when you should have 4. You cannot even see properly in the dark. Some of the other aliens made sounds of agreement. The bird-like Zephyrians clicked their beaks. The rock people called granite giants rumbled with what might have been laughter. You reach the stars not through strength but through tricks and hiding, Crix said. You are cowards who build machines to fight for you because you are too weak to fight for yourselves. Taemin stood up slowly. His voice was steady when he spoke. Ambassador Crix, I think you do not understand humans as well as you believe. Yes, we are different from Veltorians, but different does not mean weak. Does it not? Crix's yellow eyes seemed to glow. Tell me, human, have you ever fought for your life? Have you ever faced an enemy with only your hands and your courage? I have fought in wars, Taman said quietly. Wars where you hid behind machines and long-range weapons, yes. But have you ever stood face to face with death and refused to step back? Taman thought of his brother Minho, killed in Earth's last Great War. Minho had been a pilot, shot down while protecting civilian ships. He had fought until the end, even when his ship was burning around him. My brother died fighting, Taman said. He did not step back. Crix leaned forward. Your brother died because humans are too weak to protect their own. If he had been Veltorian, he would still be alive. We do not die so easily because we are not soft like humans. Something hot and angry rose up in Taman's chest. His hands started to shake, not from fear but from rage. The feeling surprised him. He had been calm in battle, calm during the worst diplomatic meetings, but hearing his brother insulted by this alien monster made something break inside him. My brother died a hero, Taman said. His voice was still quiet, but there was something new in it, something dangerous. Heroes, Crix spat. Another word for the weak who die young. This is why humans do not belong here. You cannot protect yourselves, so how can you be trusted to protect others? The anger grew stronger. Taman could feel it spreading through his body like fire. His vision seemed to get sharper. His hearing became more clear. Every alien in the room suddenly seemed to be watching him with new interest. Dr. Park whispered, Taman, be careful. But Taman was not listening anymore. He was looking at Crix and thinking about his brother, about all the humans who had died fighting for what was right, about the long history of his people, who had climbed from caves to stars through strength, and will and the refusal to give up. You think humans are weak? Taman said. His voice was getting stronger. You think we are cowards, but you do not know what you are talking about. Crix laughed again. Then prove me wrong, little human. Show me this great strength you claim to have. The challenge hung in the air like smoke. Every being in the hall knew what it meant. Among Veltorians, such words could only end one way. I challenge you to single combat, Crix said formally. Let us see if human weakness can stand against Veltorian strength. Or will you run and hide behind your machines like the coward I know you to be? The hall was completely silent now. Even the air recycling system seemed to stop making noise. Taman could hear his own heartbeat. He could feel the eyes of dozens of alien species watching him. He thought about saying no. He thought about making a diplomatic excuse. He thought about walking away and letting Earth's reputation suffer, but keeping himself alive. Then he thought about his brother again, and about every human who had ever faced impossible odds and fought anyway. I accept your challenge, Taman said. The words seemed to echo in the great hall. Dr. Park gasped. Captain Ko cursed under his breath. Several aliens began making what sounded like excited noises. Crix smiled, showing teeth like knives. Excellent. Tomorrow we fight. And tomorrow, the galaxy will see what happens when weakness meets strength. As the meeting broke up in chaos, Taman stood still in the center of it all. The anger was still there, burning inside him like a small sun, but now it was mixed with something else. Something that made him think of his ancestors who had fought with stone tools against creatures with claws and teeth. Something that made him remember that humans had not reached the stars by being weak. They had reached the stars by refusing to give up no matter what stood in their way. News of the duel spread through Nexus Prime like wildfire. Within 1 hour, every alien on the station knew that a human had accepted a Veltorian challenge. Within 2 hours, the news had reached ships across the galaxy. Taman sat in his small quarters staring at the wall. His hands were still shaking, but not from fear. The anger from the meeting hall had not gone away. It burned inside him like a coal that would not cool down. What have you done? Dr. Park Hyejin paced back and forth in the small room. Her face was pale with worry. Min, do you know what you have agreed to? Captain Ko Jae-sung stood by the door. His arms were crossed and his face was dark. I have been looking at the records, he said. Veltorians have fought 47 duels with other species in the last 50 years. They have won all 47. 47 and 0, Dr. Park repeated. Taemin, some of those species were stronger than humans. The granite giants are made of living rock. The steelbacks have natural armor thicker than tank plating. They all lost to Veltorians. Taemin finally looked up. Are you telling me to run away? I am telling you to be smart, Captain Ko said. There is no shame in admitting a mistake. We can find a diplomatic way out of this. No. Taemin stood up. Crix insulted my brother. He insulted all humans. If I run now, Earth will never be respected in this galaxy. Dr. Park stopped pacing. If you die tomorrow, Earth will lose its best diplomat. Then I won not die tomorrow. Lieutenant Kim Min-ho knocked on the door. He was young, only 25, and worked as Taemin's assistant. His face was excited and worried at the same time. Sir, there are reporters from 30 different species wanting to talk to you. The betting has already started. Betting? Taemin asked. Yes, sir. The odds are 50 to 1 against you. Some species are betting on how long you will last. Most think less than 5 minutes. Captain Ko made an angry sound. They are treating this like entertainment. It is entertainment to them, Dr. Park said. None of them think a human can win. To them, this is just watching an execution. Taemin walked to the small window in his quarters. Outside, he could see ships arriving at the station. More came every hour. Word was spreading fast. Lieutenant, Kim, send a message to Earth. Tell them what has happened. Sir, Earth Command already knows. They want to speak with you. An hour later, Taemin was on a video call with Admiral Song Byung-ho, the head of Earth Space Forces. The Admiral's weathered face filled the screen. Taemin, what the hell are you thinking? Admiral Song spoke in Korean, his voice tired and angry. I am thinking about Earth's honor, sir. Honor does not matter if you are dead. I am ordering you to find a way out of this. Sir, with respect, I cannot do that. The challenge has been made public. If I back down now, humans will be seen as cowards by every species in the galaxy. Admiral Song was quiet for a long moment. You really think you can win? I think I have to try. After the call ended, Dr. Park returned with a data pad full of information. I have been studying Veltorian biology and fighting techniques. There might be things we can use. She sat down and began reading. Veltorians are strong, but they follow very strict fighting rules. They have honor codes that go back thousands of years. They always fight in certain ways. What kind of ways? Taemin asked. Formal combat. They use traditional weapons. They stand and face their enemy directly. They never use tricks or unusual tactics because they think it is beneath them. Captain Ko leaned forward. That might be useful. Humans do not have the same honor codes. Exactly, Dr. Park said. Veltorians expect their enemies to fight like Veltorians, but humans fight differently. There was another knock at the door. A woman entered that Taemin had never seen before. She was Korean, about 30 years old, with short black hair and scars on her hands. She moved like a fighter. I am Yoon Da-hee, she said. I was sent here by Earth Command. Sent for what? Taemin asked. To train you. I was Special Forces for 10 years. Close combat specialist. If you are going to fight a Veltorian, you need to learn how to fight like a human. Over the next several hours, Yoon Da-hee showed Taemin videos of human fighters throughout history. Soldiers who had won battles they should have lost. Warriors who had defeated larger, stronger enemies through speed, intelligence, and the refusal to give up. Look at this, she said, showing him a video of an ancient human fighting technique. This man is smaller than his opponent, weaker too, but watch what he does. In the video, the smaller fighter did not try to match his enemy's strength. Instead, he moved quickly, used the bigger man's weight against him, and struck at weak points. Veltorians are used to fighting other Veltorians, Yoon Da-hee explained. They expect formal combat with rules and honor. But humans learned to fight on a world where nothing was fair. We learned to survive by using everything we could, You mean fight? Dirty, Captain Ko said. I mean fight smart, Yoon-dae corrected. There is a difference between cheating and using your advantages. As the night went on, more information came in. Lieutenant Kim reported that over 100 ships had arrived at the station. Representatives from major species were coming to watch. Some had traveled for days just to see the duel. Why so much interest? Taemin asked. Dr. Park had the answer. Because this has never happened before. No new species has ever challenged Veltorian dominance so directly. Everyone wants to see what happens. An old alien came to visit them late that night. He was unlike any species Taemin had seen before. He was tall and thin, with silver skin and eyes like stars. He moved slowly, as if he was very old. I am Elder Thane, he said in perfect galactic standard. I have been alive for 800 of your years. I have seen many things. What do you want? Captain Ko asked, suspicious. To warn the human, Elder Thane said. He looked directly at Taemin. This duel is about more than personal honor. The galaxy is watching. If you lose, humans will be seen as weak forever. Other species will treat you like servants. And if I win? Taemin asked. Elder Thane's star-like eyes seemed to twinkle. If you win, everything changes. No one has ever defeated a Veltorian in single combat. It would show that strength is not just about size and natural armor. Have you seen Veltorians fight before? Dr. Park asked. Many times. They are impressive warriors, but they have one weakness. What weakness? Taemin leaned forward. They have been winning for so long that they have forgotten what it means to lose. They do not know how to fight when they are desperate. Most species in the galaxy have also forgotten this. We have been at peace for so long that we have lost the killer instinct. Elder Thane stood to leave. But humans are different. You come from what we call a death world. Your planet tried to kill you in 1,000 different ways. You learned to survive by never giving up, even when everything looked hopeless. After he left, the room was quiet for a long time. Is he right? Dr. Park asked. Are we different from other species? Yoon-dae answered. Look at human history. We have always been the underdogs, smaller than the big predators, no claws or fangs or natural armor. But we survived because we were smart, stubborn, and we worked together. And because we got angry, Taemin added quietly. What do you mean? Captain Ko asked. I felt something today when Crix insulted my brother. Something I had never felt before. Like a fire in my chest, it made me want to fight even though I knew I might die. Yoon-dae nodded slowly. That is what Elder Thane was talking about. Most aliens have evolved past that feeling. They are too civilized, too peaceful, but humans still have it. The killer instinct, Dr. Park whispered. The survival instinct, Taemin corrected. The thing that makes us fight when we should run. The thing that kept our ancestors alive when everything on Earth was trying to eat them. As the station's artificial night cycle began, Taemin tried to sleep, but the fire in his chest would not go away. It had been burning since the moment Crix had insulted his brother. Now he understood what it was. It was not just anger. It was the rage of every human who had ever been told they were too weak, too small, too soft to survive. It was the fury of a species that had climbed from the caves to the stars by refusing to accept defeat. Tomorrow, he would show the galaxy what that rage could do. Outside his window, more ships continued to arrive. The greatest show in the galaxy was about to begin, and no one wanted to miss it. But they had no idea what they were really going to see. The central arena of Nexus Prime had never seen so many beings in one place. The massive circular space could hold 10,000 spectators, and every seat was filled. Beings from across the galaxy pressed against the barriers, trying to get a better view. Taemin stood in the preparation room beneath the arena floor. He could hear the noise from above, thousands of voices speaking in dozens of languages. The sound reminded him of ocean waves crashing against rocks. How are you feeling? Dr. Park Hyojin asked. She had been checking his vital signs every few minutes. Ready, Taemin said. His heart was beating fast, but his hands were steady now. The fire in his chest had settled into something cold and focused. Yoon Dahi helped him put on his fighting gear. It was simple human equipment, lightweight armor that would not slow him down, basic protective padding, and comfortable boots, with good grip. "Remember what we practiced," she said quietly. "Do not try to match his strength. Use your speed. Use your brain. And most importantly, do not fight like he expects you to fight." Captain Ko Jae-sung stood by the door, listening to reports from Lieutenant Kim Min-ho. "The arena is completely full," Kim reported. "Ships are still arriving. Some species sent their military leaders to watch. The betting is now 100 to 1 against you." "Good," Taemin said, surprising everyone. "Let them think I will lose. Easily." Through the walls they could hear the announcer speaking in Galactic Standard. His voice was amplified so everyone in the arena could hear. "Beings of the galaxy, welcome to a historic event. Today, for the first time in over 3 centuries, a member of a new species has challenged Veltorian combat supremacy." The crowd noise grew louder. In the red corner representing the Veltorian Empire, 4-time champion of the Galactic Combat League, undefeated in 47 duels, Ambassador Crix, the Unbreakable. A roar went up from the crowd. Even through the thick walls, Taemin could feel the vibration of thousands of beings cheering. And in the blue corner representing the human species of Earth, diplomat and former soldier, Lee Tae-min. The crowd noise was much quieter for Tae-min. A few polite claps, but mostly silence. He was not surprised. Most of the galaxy expected him to die quickly. "The rules are simple," the announcer continued. "Single combat to submission or death, traditional weapons are allowed. The combat area is 50 meters in diameter. There are no other restrictions." A door opened in the wall. Bright light poured in from the arena above. Taemin could see stairs leading up to the fighting platform. Yoon Dahi put her hand on his shoulder. "Remember who you are fighting for. Not just yourself, not just your brother. You are fighting for every human who has ever been told they were not strong enough." Taemin nodded and walked toward the stairs. The arena was even bigger than he had imagined. The fighting platform was in the center, raised above the crowd. Seats rose up on all sides like a mountain made of beings. The noise was incredible, a wall of sound that hit him like a physical force. Spotlights followed him as he walked to the center of the platform. He could see thousands of alien faces looking down at him. Some seemed curious. Others looked hungry, like they were watching a meal being prepared. Then Crix entered from the opposite side. The Veltorian looked even more impressive in the arena lights. His natural armor gleamed like polished metal. His 4 arms moved with perfect coordination. Each arm was thicker than Taemin's waist. His yellow eyes locked onto the human and never looked away. Crix carried 4 weapons, a long sword in his upper right hand, a war hammer in his upper left, a curved blade in his lower right, and a spiked mace in his lower left. Each weapon would have been heavy for a human to lift with both hands. Crix held them like they weighed nothing. The crowd noise became deafening as Crix raised all 4 weapons above his head. He was 8 feet tall and looked like a living tank. Next to him, Taemin looked like a child. "Beings of the galaxy," Crix's voice boomed across the arena. "Today you will see what happens when weakness meets strength. This human thinks his soft species deserves respect. I will show you the truth." The crowd loved it. They cheered and stamped their feet and made sounds that hurt Taemin's ears. The announcer called them to the center of the platform. A referee stood between them, a member of the neutral council, chosen because his species never took sides in conflicts. "Do you both understand the rules?" the referee asked. "I understand," Crix said, never taking his eyes off Taemin. "I understand," Taemin replied. "Then let the combat begin." The referee jumped back quickly. The crowd fell silent, waiting. Crix moved first. He was faster than Taemin expected. For something so big and heavy, the Veltorian moved with surprising speed. All 4 weapons came at Taemin from different directions. Taemin rolled to the side, barely avoiding the sword that would have cut him in half. The warhammer smashed into the floor where he had been standing, leaving a crater in the metal. The crowd gasped. They had expected the fight to be over in seconds. Crix spun around. his weapons creating a deadly circle of steel. Taemin had to duck, jump, and roll to avoid being hit. Every strike was powerful enough to kill him instantly. "Stand and fight, coward," Crix shouted. "Stop running like a scared animal." But Taemin was not running randomly. He was doing exactly what Yoon Da-hee had taught him. He was studying his enemy. Every dodge taught him something about Crix's fighting style. Every near miss showed him the pattern of the Veltorians' attacks. Crix fought like a formal warrior. His movements were precise and traditional. He used techniques that had been passed down for thousands of years. But they were also predictable. For 5 minutes, Taemin did nothing but avoid death. The crowd began to boo. They wanted to see fighting, not running. Some aliens threw objects onto the platform. "Fight me!" Crix roared, getting frustrated. "Are you too weak to even try?" Taemin said nothing. He was breathing hard, but his mind was clear. He had learned what he needed to know. Crix's armor was thick on his chest and back, but thinner at the joints. His forearms were powerful, but they sometimes got in each other's way when he tried to strike quickly. Most importantly, he always attacked in the same order: upper right, upper left, lower right, lower left. The Veltorian charged forward, all 4 weapons striking at once. This time, instead of dodging backward, Taemin did something unexpected. He moved forward and to the right, slipping between 2 of the weapons. For a split second, he was inside Crix's guard. He could have struck at the thinner armor under the Veltorian's arm. But he did not. Instead, he stepped back and resumed dodging. The crowd noise changed. Some of the aliens had seen what happened. They realized the human could have attacked, but chose not to. "What are you waiting for?" Crix demanded. "Fight me!" Taemin smiled for the first time since entering the arena. "I am fighting you. You just do not realize it yet." The words made Crix angry. He attacked with more fury, but less control. His strikes became wider and more powerful, but also slower and more predictable. Taemin continued to dodge, but now he was also doing something else. He was talking. "You know what I learned about Veltorians?" Taemin said as he ducked under a sword swing. "You are very traditional, very formal. You always do things the same way." "Silence." Crix swung his warhammer in a wide arc. Taemin rolled under it. "Your people have been winning for so long, you have forgotten how to adapt. You expect every enemy to fight like a Veltorian. I will crush you." Crix brought all 4 weapons down at once. Taemin was not there. He had moved to the side and was now behind the Veltorian. But humans are not Veltorians. We learned to fight differently. For the first time, doubt appeared in Crix's yellow eyes. The human was not fighting like any enemy he had faced before. Instead of trying to match strength with strength, Taemin was using speed and intelligence. The crowd was starting to murmur. This was not going as they expected. The human was still alive after 10 minutes. He was not just surviving. He was learning, adapting, and starting to control the fight. Dr. Park watched from the human section with her heart pounding. She could see what was happening. Taemin was not just avoiding Crix's attacks anymore. He was making the Veltorian waste energy, lose focus, and get frustrated. "He is not trying to win yet," she whispered to Captain Ko. "He is teaching Crix to lose." Crix made a wide swing with his sword. Taemin stepped inside the arc and for the second time could have struck a killing blow. Again, he chose not to. "Why do you not attack?" Crix demanded, breathing hard now. "Are you too weak to hurt me?" Taemin looked up at the crowd, then back at Crix. The fire in his chest was growing stronger. Soon it would be time to show the galaxy what a human could really do. "I am not too weak," Taemin said quietly. "I am getting ready to show you what human strength really means." The real fight was about to begin. Something changed in Taemin's eyes. The careful diplomatic mask he had worn for years fell away. What emerged was something older, something that came from deep in human DNA. Crix saw the change and stepped back without thinking. The human's face was different now. His dark eyes held something the Veltorian had never seen before, not fear, not anger, but a cold, calculating fury that made Crix's warrior instincts scream danger. Now I will show you what you do not understand about humans, Taemin said. His voice was quiet, but it carried across the silent arena. Crix charged forward with all 4 weapons raised. This time Taemin did not dodge. He moved sideways at the last second, grabbed Crix's lower right arm, and used the Veltorian's own momentum to spin him around. Crix stumbled, off balance for the first time in the fight. The crowd gasped. No one had ever made a Veltorian stumble. Before Crix could recover, Taemin did something that shocked everyone watching. He jumped onto the Veltorian's back. "What are you doing?" Crix roared, trying to reach behind himself with his 4 arms. Taemin held on tight and spoke directly into Crix's ear. "I am fighting like a human." He grabbed one of Crix's weapons, the curved blade, and threw it across the arena. It clattered against the wall, out of reach. Crix spun around wildly, trying to throw the human off. But Taemin held on like his ancestors had once held on to wild animals they were hunting. He was smaller and lighter, but he was also harder to catch. "Stand and fight with honor," Crix demanded. "Honor?" Taemin laughed, and the sound made the alien crowd nervous. "You want to talk about honor? You insulted my dead brother. You called my species weak. There is no honor in this fight." Taemin dropped off Crix's back and rolled away as the Veltorian swung his remaining 3 weapons. But now the human was not just dodging. He was attacking back. Every strike Taemin made was aimed at weak points, joints in the armor, exposed areas under the arms, spots where Crix could not defend easily. The human did not try to match the Veltorian's strength. Instead, he used speed, intelligence, and something else. Rage. Pure, focused human rage. Dr. Park watched from the stands with her mouth open. "He is not fighting like a soldier anymore," she whispered to Captain Ko. "He is fighting like a predator." The crowd could feel it too. The way Taemin moved had changed completely. Before, he had been careful and defensive. Now he moved like a hunter who had found his prey. Crix was getting frustrated and confused. Nothing in his training had prepared him for an enemy like this. Humans were supposed to be weak and civilized. They were supposed to follow rules and fight with honor. But Taemin was fighting like a wild animal, smart, fast, and completely ruthless. "This is not how combat works," Crix shouted, swinging his warhammer. Taemin ducked under the swing and hit Crix in the back of the knee. It was not a hard blow, but it hit exactly the right spot. Crix's leg buckled slightly. "You are right," Taemin said. "This is not combat. This is survival. And humans have been surviving for millions of years." The human grabbed a piece of debris from the arena floor, a chunk of metal that had broken off when Crix's hammer hit the ground earlier. He threw it at Crix's face. The Veltorian blocked it easily with one of his weapons, but the distraction allowed Taemin to get close again. This time he grabbed Crix's upper left arm and twisted it in a way that made the Veltorian drop his warhammer. Now Crix only had 2 weapons left. "Impossible," someone in the crowd whispered. "Veltorians do not lose weapons." But Taemin was not done. He was using everything around him as a weapon. When Crix threw him across the platform, Taemin rolled with the impact and came up holding another piece of debris. When Crix tried to corner him against the wall, Taemin used the wall itself to push off an attack from an unexpected angle. Most importantly, he was inside Crix's head now. "You know what the difference is between us?" Taemin asked as he avoided another sword swing. "Your people became strong and then became comfortable. You forgot what it means to fight when you are desperate." Crix was breathing hard now. His yellow eyes showed confusion and, for the first time in his life, fear. "But humans never forgot," Taemin continued. "We remember what it is like to be small and weak and surrounded by things that want to kill us. We remember how to fight when we have nothing left to lose." The human's voice was getting stronger, filled with the accumulated anger of his entire species. "You think we reach the stars because we are weak? We reach the stars because we are too stubborn to give up, too angry to accept defeat, too human to know when we are beaten." Taemin grabbed Crix's remaining sword and, in a move that defied all logic, broke it against the arena wall. The crowd could not believe what they were seeing. The human was destroying weapons with his bare hands. Crix was down to 1 weapon now, his spiked mace. His forearms were shaking with exhaustion and something else. something he had never felt before. Doubt. This is impossible, he whispered. You are just a human. Taemin stopped moving and stood directly in front of the massive Veltorian. His face was calm again, but his eyes still held that terrible cold fire. Yes, he said quietly. I am just a human, and that is why you are going to lose. The arena was completely silent. Thousands of beings held their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Crix raised his last weapon above his head, preparing for one final devastating strike. All his strength, all his rage, all his warrior pride went into this one attack. Tiu, mace came down like a falling star. Taemin stepped aside at the last possible second. The weapon smashed into the arena floor with a sound like thunder, creating a crater 3 feet deep. Before Crix could pull it free, Taemin grabbed the handle and twisted. The weapon came loose from Crix's grip and flew across the platform. The greatest warrior in the galaxy stood there, weaponless, staring at a human who should have been dead 10 times over. Yield, Taemin said. Never, Crix whispered, but there was no strength left in his voice. Then I will make you yield. What happened next would be talked about across the galaxy for generations. Taemin did not try to hurt Crix. Instead, he did something much worse. He showed the proud Veltorian warrior what helplessness felt like. Using techniques Yundahi had taught him, combined with the desperate fury of a species that had survived everything a death world could throw at them, Taemin systematically took apart Crix's ability to fight. Every time Crix tried to grab him, Taemin slipped away. Every time the Veltorian tried to use his superior strength, the human turned it against him. Every time Crix thought he knew what the human would do next, Taemin did something completely different. It was not a fight anymore. It was a lesson, a demonstration of what happens when an unstoppable force meets something that simply refuses to be stopped. Finally, after what felt like hours but was only minutes, Crix fell to his knees. His yellow eyes were wide with shock and exhaustion. I yield, he whispered. The words echoed across the silent arena. For a moment, no one moved. No one breathed. Then the crowd exploded. Some aliens cheered. Others sat in stunned silence. A few actually fainted from the shock of what they had witnessed. Taemin stood over the defeated Veltorian, breathing hard but still standing. The fire in his chest was finally cooling, but his eyes still held that dangerous light. He looked up at the crowd, then at the cameras broadcasting across the galaxy. My name is Lee Taemin, he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the arena. I am a human from Earth, and I am not weak. The galaxy had just learned something new about the species from the small blue planet. They had learned that humans do not give up, they do not back down, and they do not forget. The medical bay of Nexus Prime was busier than it had ever been, not because of injuries. Surprisingly, both fighters were mostly unhurt, but because every species wanted their doctors to examine what had happened. Taemin sat on a medical bed, while Dr. Park Hyejin checked him over. His knuckles were bruised and he had a few cuts, but nothing serious. The real change was in his eyes. The diplomatic mask was back, but everyone who looked at him now saw something different underneath. How? Do you feel? Dr. Park asked in Korean. Tired, Taemin replied honestly, but good, like something heavy has been lifted off my shoulders. Captain Ko Jae-sung stood by the door reading reports on his datapad. The galaxy is going crazy, he said. The news networks cannot stop talking about what happened. Some species are calling it the most important event in 1,000 years. Lieutenant Kim Min-ho burst through the door, his face excited and worried at the same time. Sir, there are requests for interviews from over 200 news organizations. The betting halls are in chaos. Nobody expected this result. And what? Taemin asked. Admiral Vex is coming. Dr. Park looked up from her medical scanner. Who is Admiral Vex? The supreme military commander of the Veltorian Empire, Captain Ko explained. He commands a fleet of 50 warships. If he is angry about what happened to Crix, then we might have bigger problems than a duel, Taemin finished, 3 hours. Later, Admiral Vex arrived at Nexus Prime with a full battle fleet. The massive Veltorian warships took positions around the station, their weapons powered but not aimed. It was a show of force that made every being on the station nervous. Admiral Vex himself was even more impressive than Crix had been. He was older, with scars covering his natural armor. His forearms moved with the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. When he walked through the station corridors, other aliens moved out of his way. He came to the human quarters, with only 2 guards. Taman met him in the main conference room with Dr. Park and Captain Ko at his side. "So," Admiral Vex said in a voice like grinding stone, "you are the human who defeated my champion." "I am," Taemin replied calmly. Admiral Vex walked around the table, studying Taemin like a scientist examining a new species. "I came here expecting to collect Crix's body and punish whoever had cheated to defeat him. But I have watched the recordings of your fight." "And what did you see?" Taemin asked. "I saw something I have never seen before. I saw a warrior who fights without honor, without tradition, without any of the codes that separate civilized beings from animals." Admiral Vex stopped directly in front of Taemin. "And I saw that this approach worked." The room was quiet for a long moment. "You did not cheat," Admiral Vex continued. "You simply fought in a way we were not prepared for. You fought like someone who refuses to lose, no matter what the cost." "That is what humans do," Dr. Park said quietly. "We survive." Admiral Vex looked at her with interest. "Survive. Yes, I think that is the right word. Most species in the galaxy have forgotten what survival means. We have been comfortable for so long that we have lost the edge that made us strong." He turned back to Taemin. "Crix is alive, by the way. Injured in body and pride, but alive. He has asked to speak with you." "I will see him," Taemin said. Admiral Vex nodded with approval. "Good. But first I have a question. What would you say if I told you that the Veltorian Empire wants to learn from humans? That we want to remember what it means to fight for survival instead of just fighting for honor?" Captain Ko and Dr. Park exchanged surprised looks. This was not what they had expected. "I would say that humans are always willing to teach," Taemin replied. "But learning requires admitting that there are things you do not know." Admiral Vex laughed, a harsh sound, but not unfriendly. "Human, after today, the entire galaxy knows there are things we do not know. Your species has taught us all a lesson." Later that day, Elder Thane visited the human quarters again. The ancient being moved slowly, but his star-like eyes were bright, with interest. "The galaxy is changing," he said without introduction. "Word of your duel has reached every corner of known space. Species that have been dominated by the Veltorians for centuries are starting to ask questions." "What kind of questions?" Dr. Park asked. "Questions about strength, about what it really means to be powerful. For too long, everyone believed that size and natural weapons were the only kinds of strength that mattered." Elder Thane sat down carefully. "But you have shown them something different. You have shown them that intelligence, adaptability, and the refusal to give up can be stronger than armor and claws." "Is that good or bad?" Taemin asked. "That depends on what your species does next. You have the galaxy's attention now. Some species will want to learn from you. Others will see you as a threat that needs to be eliminated before you become too powerful." Captain Ko leaned forward. "What do you think we should do?" Elder Thane's ancient eyes twinkled. "Be yourselves. Be human. That is what the galaxy needs. Right now, a species that remembers how to fight when everything seems hopeless." When Taemin finally went to see Crix, he found the Veltorian warrior in a private medical room. Crix's armor had been removed, showing the being underneath. Without his weapons and intimidating appearance, he looked almost ordinary. "Human," Crix said when Taemin entered. "I owe you an apology." "For what?" "For calling you weak, for insulting your brother, for not understanding what strength really means." Crix struggled to sit up. "I have been a warrior my entire life. I have won hundreds of battles, but I never learned how to fight someone who simply refuses to lose." Taemin sat down in a chair next to the bed. "My brother died fighting to protect people who could not protect themselves. That is what humans do. We do not fight for glory or honor. We fight because it is necessary. I understand now, Crix said quietly. Your species does not fight to prove how strong you are. You fight to survive, and you will do whatever it takes to survive. Yes. Crix was quiet for a long moment. Will you teach me? Teach you what? How to fight like that. How to fight like a human. Taemin thought about it. Fighting like a human is not about techniques or weapons. It is about attitude. It is about being willing to do whatever it takes, even if it is not honorable or traditional. Even if others think you are cheating. Especially then. Honor does not matter if you are dead. Tradition does not matter if your people are enslaved. Sometimes the only thing that matters is winning. Crix nodded slowly. I think I understand, but it will be hard for my people to learn. We have been proud for so long. Pride is not bad, Taemin said, but it should not make you stupid. The best warriors are the ones who can learn from their defeats. Over the following days, representatives from dozens of species came to meet with the humans. Some came to offer alliances. Others came to issue challenges, thinking they could succeed where the Veltorians had failed. A few came just to study this strange new species that had upset the balance of galactic power. But the most important visitor was Ambassador Chen Wei-Ming, Earth's senior diplomat. He arrived with a full delegation and immediate orders from Earth Command. Taemin, he said after reviewing all the reports, you have changed everything. Earth's position in the galaxy is completely different now. Better or worse? Taemin asked. Both. We are no longer seen as weak newcomers who got lucky. Now we are seen as a potential threat that needs to be either allied with or eliminated. Dr. Park looked worried. Does that mean we are in danger? Ambassador Chen smiled. It means we are finally being taken seriously, and sometimes that is the most important victory of all. As Taemin stood at the observation deck of Nexus Prime, looking out at the stars, he thought about what had happened. A few days ago, he had been just another diplomat trying to earn respect for his species. Now the entire galaxy knew that humans were not to be underestimated. The fire in his chest had cooled completely, but it had not gone away. It was still there, waiting, ready to burn again if anyone threatened his people or his home. Captain Ko joined him at the window. Do you think we did the right thing? I think we did what we had to do. Taemin replied. The galaxy needed to learn that humans are not weak. Now they know. And if they try to test us again? Taemin smiled, and for just a moment, his diplomatic mask slipped again. Underneath, Captain Ko could see the same cold fire that had defeated the greatest warrior in the galaxy. Then they will learn the same lesson Crix learned. Humans do not give up. We do not back down, and we do not forget. Outside the window, ships from across the galaxy continued to arrive at Nexus Prime. Word was spreading that everything had changed. The small species from the blue planet had shown the galaxy something it had forgotten. They had shown them what it meant to fight like your life depended on it. Because for humans, it always did.